In a universe filled with countless stars, there are rare moments when two celestial bodies cross paths so intensely that they change the cosmos forever. That's exactly what happened when Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo collided, not in the fiery chaos of destruction, but in the quiet explosion of chemistry, art, and destiny. When Stars Collide isn't just a story of two actors. It's the tale of two forces of nature that rewrote the constellations of fame, friendship, and feeling. It all began under a cold studio light, the kind that drains color but reveals truth. Xiao Zhan stood at one end of the set, poised and polished, his calm presence commanding silent respect. At the other end, Wang Yibo adjusted his jacket, cool and effortless, his sharp eyes flicking up for a brief second, meeting Xiao Zhan's gaze. That 1 second was enough. The air seemed to shift. The silence was no longer empty. It thrummed with electricity. The director hadn't even called action. But something unspoken had already begun. It was as though two galaxies had brushed edges for the first time, sparking gravity between them. From that day on, The Untamed became more than a drama. It became an event. But behind the cameras, in the spaces between takes, something far deeper began to unfold. Xiao Zhan, with his warm laughter and gentle focus, brought calm to every storm. Wang Yibo, with his quiet determination and mystery, brought edge to every calm. Together they created balance, the moon and the sun in perfect orbit. There were moments fans never saw, fragments of reality that shimmered brighter than any fiction. Like the time between takes when Wang Yibo teased Xiao Zhan about his serious expression, trying to crack that perfect composure. Xiao Zhan turned to him, laughter spilling through the air, his eyes crinkling into that familiar crescent smile. "You try holding this sword for hours," he joked, and Wang Yibo smirked. "You're the hero, you can handle it." It wasn't just banter. It was connection. Natural, enforced, real. Their bond wasn't loud. It was the kind that moved beneath the surface, subtle yet impossible to ignore. You could see it in the way their glances lingered a second longer than necessary, the way their timing on screen was impossibly synchronized, the way they understood each other's silences. When Xiao Zhan spoke, Wang Yibo listened, not just to the words but to the pauses between them. When Wang Yibo moved, Xiao Zhan followed, as if they shared the same rhythm, the same pulse. As the series wrapped, neither could have predicted what would come next. Fame, yes, but also a storm. Yet even as chaos rose, the echoes of their connection didn't fade. The world had witnessed something rare, and once you see such light, you can't forget it. Their collaboration wasn't just acting, it was cosmic alignment. Imagine the night after their final scene together. The set was quiet, the lights dimmed, the crew gone. Xiao Zhan lingered, fingers brushing the sleeve of the costume that had become almost part of him. Wang Yibo stood a few feet away, helmet in hand. His love for motorcycles somehow symbolic of his spirit. Fast, free, and unpredictable. He looked up. "So that's it," he said softly. Xiao Zhan smiled faintly. For now. There was a pause, long, heavy, filled with everything they couldn't say. Then Wang Yibo added, "When stars collide, they don't disappear. They just move apart. Until the next orbit." That line stayed with Xiao Zhan. Stayed with fans too, because deep down everyone felt it. Their paths might diverge, but the gravity between them would never fully let go. When they appeared at events afterward, even separately, there was always that invisible thread. The crowd screamed louder when one's name was mentioned in front of the other. Camera flashes caught subtle glances, smiles that seemed to belong to memories shared long before. The universe had branded them as a duo, two stars fated to glow brighter together than apart. Then came the awards night. The hall glittered with lights, applause echoing like thunder. Xiao Zhan walked the red carpet with quiet grace, his eyes catching every shimmer. Moments later, Wang Yibo arrived, exuding that cool confidence that seemed to make the world tilt just slightly. Reporters asked questions, fans screamed their names, but when they finally stood on the same stage again, the air trembled. It wasn't the words they said, it was the way they looked at each other. Recognition, respect, An unspoken, we made it. In that moment, cameras caught something eternal, a flicker of the old fire, that cosmic spark that first ignited years ago. Off stage, they crossed paths again. The noise faded, the lights softened, and it was just them. Xiao Zhan turned with that soft smile of his. "You've been doing well," he said. Wang Yibo nodded. "You too." Then quieter he added, "It's strange, isn't it? No matter how far apart, it still feels connected." Xiao Zhan's laugh was gentle. "That's what happens when stars collide." That phrase became legendary. Fans turned it into quotes, edits, art, songs. It wasn't just about their past. It was about the idea that once two souls meet at the right frequency, they create something unbreakable. Something beyond time, beyond distance. And maybe that's what makes their story so unforgettable. They weren't just co-stars, they were a constellation. When they shared the screen, everything aligned. Every emotion felt raw, every silence meaningful. It was as if their presence together opened a secret dimension between reality and imagination. There were whispers of future projects, rumors of them reuniting on screen. The world waited breathlessly, hoping for another collision. But maybe the beauty lies in the uncertainty, the waiting, the wondering, the knowing that someday, somehow, the universe might let them cross paths again. Because when stars collide isn't just about fame or fan dreams, it's about connection. About how two people can meet and change each other's orbits forever. About how art can become real when the energy between its creators is genuine. In a world that often feels too fast, too temporary, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo's story reminds us of the rare moments that last forever. When two souls align, they don't just light up a set, they light up the entire sky. And as fans continue to watch their journeys unfold separately, one thing remains constant. The sky still holds traces of that collision. The light hasn't dimmed. The stars still remember. Maybe someday, under a new project, a new story, or a quiet night behind the scenes, their paths will cross again. And when they do, the universe will once more fall silent, holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the two brightest stars collide again. When two stars collide, they don't simply shine, they explode into something extraordinary. And for Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo, that explosion didn't fade after the Untamed. It rippled through time, leaving a trail of brilliance that fans still chase. The first spark may have been captured on set, but the real magic lived in the moments in between. The unspoken, the unseen, the unforgettable. Let's rewind to the early days of filming. The air was thick with pressure, the kind that only comes when the entire world is waiting to see what you'll create. Xiao Zhan, always focused, stood rehearsing his lines quietly, lips moving with precision, his eyes reflecting calm determination. Across from him, Wang Yibo leaned against a wall, earphones in, head nodding slightly to a beat only he could hear. He looked like the embodiment of cool detachment, but his gaze occasionally flicked toward Xiao Zhan, observing, calculating, curious. Then came that first full rehearsal together, the moment their energy officially collided. The director called, "Action!" and the set fell silent. Xiao Zhan turned, his expression a perfect mix of control and fire. Wang Yibo stepped forward, eyes sharp, presence electric. The instant their characters met, time seemed to warp. Every move felt charged. Every line carried the weight of something deeper than the script. When the director yelled, "Cut!" the silence that followed wasn't relief, it was awe. Everyone knew something rare had just been born. From that moment everything changed. During breaks, Xiao Zhan's laughter began to echo across the set more often. His calm broken by Yibo's teasing remarks. "You're too serious," Wang Yibo once told him, tossing a piece of candy his way. Xiao Zhan caught it midair, smiling. "And you're too relaxed." They both laughed, and for the first time they found a rhythm, the perfect balance between calm and chaos. Fans often talk about their on-screen chemistry, but the truth is, it began off-screen. There were the late-night script discussions where Xiao Zhan would meticulously analyze every scene, and Wang Yibo, though quiet, would listen intently before offering a sharp, unexpected insight. There were the long filming days under the heat, where Yibo would wordlessly hand Xiao Zhan a bottle of water, their hands brushing briefly, a tiny, unnoticed moment that felt like a secret shared with the universe. One evening, after shooting a particularly emotional scene, the crew wrapped up and began leaving. Xiao Zhan stayed behind, sitting quietly under the dim set lights, lost in thought. Wang Yibo approached, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You good?" he asked. Xiao Zhan looked up and smiled faintly. "It's strange. Sometimes it feels like these characters aren't just roles. It feels real." Wang Yibo sat beside him, silence stretching between them. Then he said softly, "Maybe that's because what's real doesn't need a script." That single line, simple yet profound, seemed to linger in the air like smoke. Xiao Zhan turned to him, eyes soft, and for that brief moment, they weren't co-stars. They were just two souls caught in the orbit of something bigger than themselves. As filming continued, their connection deepened in ways words could never fully capture. During one intense sword-fighting sequence, Xiao Zhan stumbled slightly, nearly losing balance. Before the crew could react, Wang Yibo was already there, catching his arm, steadying him with that effortless strength. "Careful," he murmured, a hint of concern flashing across his usually unreadable face. Xiao Zhan smiled, breathless. "Guess you were watching my back." Wang Yibo replied with a smirk. "Always." Scenes like that didn't make it into the final cut, but they became immortalized in fan memories, whispered about in forums and replayed in slow-motion clips online. Because in that fleeting moment, the boundary between acting and reality blurred, and something timeless was born. After The Untamed ended, the set was taken down, the props packed away, but that invisible connection didn't fade. They continued to meet at events, each carrying the same quiet respect and unspoken understanding. Cameras captured it every time, a shared glance that spoke louder than any words. Xiao Zhan's calm eyes meeting Yibo's fiery ones, and for a heartbeat, the world stopped spinning. During one award show, Xiao Zhan was called on stage first. The crowd roared, lights flashing like stars. Moments later, Wang Yibo joined him, and suddenly the entire hall seemed to tremble with energy. When they stood side by side, everything felt right, balanced, radiant, inevitable. As they accepted their awards, their hands brushed briefly, unnoticed by many, but captured forever by the few who looked close enough. Backstage, away from the flashing cameras, Wang Yibo turned to him and said quietly, "We did it." Xiao Zhan chuckled. "We always do." And in that small exchange, you could feel years of trust, loyalty, and something unbreakable. Even now, as they walk their separate paths, one diving into music and theater, the other racing through action films and dance, the universe keeps weaving their names together. Fans can't mention one without the other. Edits, fan art, stories, all speak of the same truth, that their stars may shine separately, but the light they created together still burns in every heart that witnessed it. Because when stars collide, the explosion doesn't end when the moment does. It echoes through time, shapes constellations, creates legends. Some say destiny only allows such collisions once in a lifetime. But maybe, just maybe, the universe has other plans. Maybe somewhere down the road, under new skies and new lights, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo's orbits will cross again. And when they do, it won't just be a reunion. It will be a rebirth of that same indescribable magic that once stopped time. Their story reminds us that real connections don't fade. They transform, they evolve, they become the light that guides us through the dark. And as fans, we're all standing here beneath that same sky, still watching, still hoping, still believing that someday, those two stars will collide once more. And when they do, the universe will shimmer again. Sparkles if you love this continuation of When Stars Collide, Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. More stories of love, destiny, and the unseen bond between these two incredible stars are coming soon. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in their cosmic journey. Shooting star.